Doesn't look like it's working, so I'm gonna use. Well, hello and thank you for tuning in. It's time again for an episode with the Makeup Gourmet. Today's episode is episode 5, Makeup for Smiling Pictures. And so without further ado, let's get to the program. Well, hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Chris Gutt, and with me today is Lisa Doyle. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, everybody.
Isn't she nice? So, I like to throw out my challenges to you, like, what is your concern? And I'm often thrown for a loop. Like last week, we actually took a couple weeks off, but my last episode, my friend was like, what about décolleté care? And I'm like, what about décolleté care? But then I learned a lot, and that was a really good episode. So this week's episode, Lisa reached out to me and said, hey, I'd like to be on your show. And so I said, well, what's your makeup challenge? And so just let us know. What is your makeup challenge, or challenge in general?
Well, I was just noticing when I would look at pictures of myself and smiling, these lines would form under my eyes, and I just felt like I looked a lot older in pictures. And because you don't really smile at yourself when you're looking in the mirror, I didn't notice them. So when I looked in the mirror, I thought it looked okay.
Uh-huh.
But when I looked at the picture, I'm like, oh, that's me, okay.
So smile for us. Nice. See? Nice. So are you concerned about these fine lines that are coming through here?
No, mostly under the eye.
Under the eye. So smile again. So you notice in the picture that Lisa is doing, in the picture, crazy, in the smile that Lisa is doing right now, that we see teeth. It's an interesting muscular difference in our musculature when we choose to show teeth or not teeth when we smile. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you a picture first of this kid. Now this kid is showing just a lot of teeth, but also if you look up by his eyes, you can see that his under eye looks a little bit puffy, and by the side of his eyes we see a little bit of fine lines. It's impossible for that not to happen, because what happens is gravity is always pulling down on our face, always. And when we smile, we work against gravity. We're actually pushing up against gravity when we smile with our muscles. And so there's this meeting point between muscles and gravity that form right around our crazy eyes. And so we get, that result. And so I looked through a bunch of kid pictures, and, without the big toothy smile, it was a little bit softer. But when we really want to just be happy and take a picture, chances are we're going to see our skin's going to do what it's going to do against gravity. And I'm not saying that there isn't a way to sort of offset that, but I'm going to just say anatomically that that's what happens. So then let me show you another cute picture. So here's an adult who also is quite happy today, because she's out at the yacht harbor, and why wouldn't you be happy at the yacht harbor? But you can see, nice, big smile, super happy. The eyes are even closing, and we can just see sort of a buildup of the meeting of the muscles against gravity around the eyes, forming in these kind of little fine lines. And as we mature, the skin, the elasticity becomes lessened, and so the appearance of those lines increase. But here's something kind of trippy. Here's another shot of someone smiling, but she's doing something very clever. She's not showing her teeth. So you can see, like, she even has dimple lines at the end of her mouth, but there's a way of trying to control around the eye area, still expressing a smile, but somehow, because the mouth isn't opening like in a huge happy smile, that we don't see those fine lines build up so much around the eyes. So, and I tell you this because I was the one who was, told, Chris, here's my concern. How do I address it? And so I did some research about how muscles work on our face and lines and all that good stuff. So before we go into the makeup aspect of this, we're going to talk about some, like, just basically anatomical techniques you can do with pictures, right? So for those of you who like, I want to take a better picture, but people are taking pictures of us all the time, and we wish they would stop, but they don't. So what do we do? So I'm going to share with a couple techniques. So why don't you slide in a little bit? Now I have not. I have not told Lisa about any of these yet. So she's going to be, our guinea pig in terms of how some of these techniques, all right? So the first technique is, actually, the first thing is don't smile too hard. So if you would, could you do a soft smile for us, but not show teeth? Right? There's a nice, now smile like you like to in pictures with your teeth showing, nice and big. So you can just see generally how basically the muscles are pushing up against gravity, and that's what happens. And come back to a soft smile but without teeth. Just a nice soft smile. I'll do it with you. Notice how big. So we get that forming. So one thing we can try to do, I guess, when we're doing pictures is before the camera goes off, kind of soften our eyes a little bit and try not to show teeth. I know it's kind of like, really, I just want to be happy. But if you do want the picture to come out better, what do you think of that?
That is counter to some photographers, because in my life growing up, because I never really wanted to show my teeth, and then I had photographers say, "Oh, you need to show your teeth more," and so. But I totally understand what you're saying.
Right. So, and why would they say show your teeth? Just because it's a happier
because
picture?
I was always smiling like this.
Right. It kind of
closed.
looks almost kind of smirky or something,
Or
hey.
I felt like I was smiling, but when I actually looked at the picture, it didn't look like I was at all.
Right. So here's another crazy technique that is used a lot on, like, who cares, red carpet, right? But it's a technique that's kind of cool because what it does is it calms the under eye area. So if you feel like, boy, when I smile, I get this buildup of maybe puffiness or fine lines, this is the crazy technique. It's called squinching. And so look straight ahead, and what I want you to do, Lisa, is just pretend that you're at the doctor's office, eye doctor, and you're trying to read the bottom line of the eye test. What do you do when you're trying to read the bottom line? Right, you squinch a little bit. So anatomically, what you're doing is instead of lowering the top eye, you're actually raising up the lower eye, right? Just a little bit. Do you see that? And what it does is it kind of flattens and smooths out. So if you ever look at pictures of like Tom Cruise or Julia Roberts or Brad Pitt on the runway and they're taking pictures, you'll see that they turn to the camera and they squinch. And so it smooths out the face.
Ew.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called squinching.
I'm not sure if I have it down, but
so I'm gonna try it.
I think I know what you mean.
And also it does add a touch of a smolder to your look.
Okay.
So if you want to add a touch of smolder, the squinch is the way to go, right? So that's called squinching. And again, anatomically, really all you're doing is raising the lower eyelids and leaving the upper ones there. It's so weird. I'm doing it right now. See? I'm squinching. It's so weird. So try that because it's kind of cool. So your relationship to the camera. If someone's taking a picture of you, make sure that they're not below you with the camera. So make sure that camera is slightly above you because it's always a more flattering angle for the camera to be shooting slightly down.
And not at your neck.
Right, not at your neck. And it helps to soften the appearance of the shadows on the face too. When it's shooting up this way, it just catches more of the shadows that might fall in the folds in the skin. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So if there's any way to figure that out, if there's something about take a picture, you could even bend your knees, drop your knees a little bit, whatever. Say, could you hold that camera up higher before you take that picture? Sometimes it works. So, and those are just stupid little anatomical things, and also your relationship with the camera thing. Also, know your best side. So generally speaking, you can see where Lisa's hair is parted. So turn your part towards just like that. So that's her better. Let me see.
The other way.
Yeah, I know. This camera's weird. Just like this now, and look straight at the camera, and look straight at the camera. So if you're gonna take a picture, it's good to know. Go towards your part. Of course, I don't have a part, but go towards your part, and just so that you're not getting a full-on shot, right? because it slims the face and it kind of softens the appearance of the lines on the face. So, and so, what do you think of that? Do you like it?
Interesting. I never thought about it.
Well, so many people who are like very conscious about how they photograph. You ever
I
time
have
take a
noticed
picture?
people like that.
People like, here, I'm going to turn my head. Hi, take my picture. You're like, why are you so weird? Because I want my picture taken, right? But
To get my good side.
I know, but all these little things add up to maybe you kind of might like the picture a little bit better. Right? And it's a lot to think about, but you don't learn it all in a day, but you incorporate it and have fun with it.
I spend a lot of time smiling in a mirror.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one, which I learned, I'm trying to think of his name, Kirk. He works at my friend's company called Speech Skills, and they're very awesome. We were doing a photo shoot, and I was doing the makeup, and he said, oh, everybody, you have to do the turtle. You have to do the turtle. I'm like, what the heck is the turtle? So the turtle is a way to minimize the appearance of any kind of shadowing along the jawline. It crisps up your jawline. So it works just like this, and Lisa and I are going to do it together, and she's never done this before, but I have. So the trick is this. Basically, you're going to take the entire front plane of your face, and you're just going to try to move the whole face forward like a turtle. Just move it like that. That's it. Now drop the chin just an inch. And what happens is, and turn your head a little bit to one side then the other, and maintain that. A little bit more. Keep turning. Keep turning. You see how that crisps up the jawline? Now come back to normal and stay there. Keep your head turned where it was. So turn your head to one side, and now bring it forward, the turtle, and then drop the chin just a touch. And what it does is it just kind of like goes right. It goes and it straightens up that line right there. That's called the turtle. So those are all my little anatomical tips that I wanted to share with you today. So I want to remind you all that next we're going to the makeup portion. But I always do offer to anyone who, if they're in the live chat with us, what we do is I'm going to pick one of you to win the featured product. And today's featured product is line diffusing treatment. Why? Because it works. Peptides and neopeptides are things that calm the little muscles up here, so that when we smile, they're not so prone to like tense up so much. It's not like Botox at all. Peptides are in our body, and they're calming, and they're a good thing. So that's our featured product today. So all you have to do to win is to participate in our live chat. So just when you have a moment and you have a question, it can be about anything. But basically about the topic we're on, just type it in to the live chat section where you're watching. I'm gonna refresh my page here, and every time I do, I seem to just like lose everything in my live chat. But I'm just checking right now if anyone's chimed in yet. And so we will select a winner from the list of today's live chat viewers. So if you have any if you want to chime in, like, hey, I know something else that works really great for looking better in pictures. Well, gosh darn it, you better tell us, and then we can share with everybody else too. Because check this out. Now this kind of blew my mind. I'm going to share this with you now. So, wow. Why is Lisa so close to the camera? I don't know. No, no. My last episode, when we look at the analytics, I had 27 countries watching this show when it was live, and that blew my mind because the first show we did, we had two countries, and I thought to myself, YouTube is cool, because. I have people from Morocco, Algeria, South Korea, just all over the map. And I'm thinking, wow, we're all just a little bit closer, just talking about stuff that kind of makes us all, stuff we want to know about, and how much more familiar or, more the same we are as opposed to different. Mm-hmm. And that just, I don't know, made me happy. And right now I'm even tearing up thinking about it, just because, we all need to get along, don't we?
Right.
And so anyway, thank you, all you 27 countries out there, and I hope there's more today. All right, so let's move on, and now we're going to talk about things you can do for your skin to, of course, make it look smoother and better when you are going to be in pictures and doing your makeup. So turn slightly this way for me. So already, and just kind of lean in a little bit. So already what I did on this side of Lisa's face was I already did her skin very subtly using correctors and foundation and ways to make light reflect more evenly off her skin. I'll turn back the other way. And then on this side, you can notice, you can see a little bit more of the redness, the coloring in the skin that tends to take away from the eyes and lips. So let's talk about how light reflects on our skin. Light wants to bounce off the curvatures of our face. And so in some places, like up on our cheekbone, ooh, that's good, because it gives us a nice highlight off our cheekbone. But right under the eye, since the eye socket is a circle, there's like a round bone right here. So so smile for us. So when we go ahead and smile. So when we smile, you see how it even emphasizes that circularness. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out a way to make light reflect more evenly. So we're going to go against the grain of the skin as opposed to with it to achieve this technique. So the first thing I'm going to use is a pink corrector. Correctors are cool because you mix it with the color of your skin to create a third neutral color. So here on Lisa, it's, on all of us, we're rounded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten that. And how I'm going to flatten is this. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to draw a check mark. So I'm going across the curvature of her eye socket, not with it. Usually when we do concealer, we go like this and we sort of emphasize that roundness. We're going to go across it, and then I'm going to do a check mark. What I'm going for is the shelf of the cheekbone, the place where light would bounce most first. So, yeah, perfect. You can see it right there. You got this strong check mark shape. Now look up for me, Lisa. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little brush, and I'm going to mix the color of this corrector into the color of Lisa's skin. But what I'm really doing here is I'm creating a different shape for light to bounce off of Lisa's skin. Rather than a half circle shape, it's going to bounce off this check mark shape. And so the illusion is that the area under the eye is more flat, not so rounded. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to poke right under the corner of her eye, right here with this corrector, and it's really going to brighten where the shadow falls under her bone, right past the corner of her eye, and it's really going to lift up her eye really nice. And this stuff is not a concealer, so if you put this on to the point where you feel like, oh, I'm going to cover up my darkness, then you're in trouble because this is not the color of skin, so you're going to look weird. You want to use about half of what you would for a concealer, and you want to mix it with the color of your skin, just like that. And then turn your head a little bit more towards the camera here. And so you can see sort of the brightness happening up under her eye right now. We really don't see like the product, but we see, why does her skin look so bright and clear? So the next thing I'm going to do is what I call the heart of the face. And that's, think of the eyebrows, the top of the heart, and from the edge of the eyebrow down past the lips, that's the heart. So any redness, any discoloration inside here competes with the eyes and the lips for attention. So we want to neutralize that. So usually speaking, it's darkness under our eyes and redness if you have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that border of that heart line. You notice I don't go all the way up to here because I have the pink right there already. But I'm just creating that line right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the green with where I see red. So green, because green is such a non-human color that you have to use way less than we did of the pink is my point. There is pink in our skin already, but not a lot of green. So if you have to use half the amount. Green is so effective in neutralizing red, but you have to use a small amount. So you can see how my brush is putting this on. I'm going swish, swish, swish back and forth because I'm mixing it into her skin. If you're putting it on like this, you're trying to cover the redness up, and all you're going to see is green sitting on top of red. You have to mix it in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yay, making sense. Now see this line here? This is an important line. I'll tell you why. If you think, oh, I have redness right here, I'll just get it. What you do is you square out the jaw, and so it gives you what I call man jaw. It gives you a nice square jaw because green, both of my correctors, the pink and the green and my yellow, all of it, they reflect light better, and we want them to. So if you put them in places where you don't want light to reflect, your face is going to look weird. So that's why I don't put any of this outside of the heart line. Even though she has some redness here, if I put some of that green out here for that little bit of redness, light would bounce off her cheekbone like this, so it would give her a rounded effect. Whereas, as you can see right now, it's really pretty. It automatically contours her face. Her own natural coloring is creating the contour without us having to do anything. Of course, we can add contour, but my point is, let your natural coloring do as much of the work as possible, so you don't have to wear as much makeup. So I'm just going to tap a little bit of powder on top of that application. And the reason I'm doing that is because the product that you use definitely has some kind of slip in it, some kind of oil or something that makes it smooth and creamy. And if I don't set it with a little bit of powder, if I use, say, a liquid foundation over the top, the liquid's going to emulsify what's underneath it. So, Lisa, you were saying that you use, part of the problem is that you get a buildup of makeup. And what kind of makeup are you using?
I'm using a pressed powder, like a foundation powder.
So a pressed powder foundation, and you put
just
that...
to even out my skin tone, and so I also use it under my eyes.
Which seems to make sense, right? Because it's fast, it's easy, it's like, I'm going to get this job
And
done.
it's gonna be I think it's going to be the same color as the rest of my skin.
Right.
Or my cheek.
Right. So the problem with foundation powders up under the eye is that the foundation powder has a lot of pigment in it. And pigments are much bigger than powders in terms of molecularly. So they crunch up more, they bunch up more. So when you put them...
They show up more because it's a bigger molecule.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Dr. Lisa. They show up more because it's a bigger molecule, stupid molecule. So don't put your... Try to be careful with what you put under your eye. I can get away, say if I'm doing foundation right now on the tip of my over here on the tip of my foundation brush. There is obviously pigment in this, but it's such a refined pigment that it's not going to build up under Lisa's eye the same way a powder does. It's just the nature of the powder. And I'm not against powder, but I would say just use, what I would use is a translucent powder under your eye. So to solve the issue, which is you have to have more product. Tons more. Makeup Gourmet product I recommend. Tons of Makeup Gourmet product.
Of course.
Of course. I'm just brushing on a little bit of my jojoba liquid foundation right now. But the point is, use a translucent powder under the eye, not a foundation powder. Translucent powder, even though it may have pigment in it, it has way less, and it's more refined. And then that's why they call it translucent powder instead of coverage powder. So look at that.
I did not know that.
Look at the beautiful glow on your skin. Oh my God, that looks so
God.
good. So there are also powders that have zero pigment in them. Zero. You think it's so I'm going to try to show this. Don't let me be rude here. So see this powder right here? That has no pigment. So I know it looks white, but you're not going to look like a geisha. It just has no pigment at all. So if you are oily and you're like, God, anytime I put powder on, it just starts getting darker because I get oil in it, right? And so then the powder, it just makes the pigments get darker. Use a powder like, let me show you one more time, like this. I call it, get over here, invisible powder, invisible powder. So, but on Lisa today, I'm going to use, just to test our theory, this light translucent powder. Because Lisa's pretty fair as far as, skin tones go. Not super duper fair, but pretty fair. So I'm going to use light. You never want to use a powder that's darker than your skin unless it's a bronzing powder and you're trying to warm it up. So I'm using, wait, I just put foundation on you, right?
Yes.
I did, didn't I? So because I put foundation on you, first I'm going to set the foundation with a little bit of powder. So I'm going to use that same powder that I was just showing, the light translucent powder. It's a powder, but it's just got just a little bit of pigment in it. Notice how I'm putting this on? I'm not brushing it. I'm what I call depositing. I'm pressing it on. And that way it flattens to the skin. It smooths to the skin. If your foundation is wet and you put powder on like this, you create little cuts in the foundation and light doesn't reflect as well. So under the eye area, look up for me, please. You can press powder. This is that same translucent powder into that sort of concern area.
Is this the white one or the tinted one?
The tinted one. And if you're really concerned about anything showing up, you can use the clear one. But the reason I use the one that has a little bit of pigment is even though you really, as we're sitting here and we're doing your makeup and you don't see the pink that I use on you, I did put pink on your eye. So in like extreme daylight or what have you, someone's going to go, I wonder what that is under her eye. But the minute you just put a little bit of human pigment in there, meaning more human color as opposed to just pure pink, it completely goes away. So it looks 100% natural. So this looks really nice. You can see her skin is glowing beautifully, as well as it's reflecting light more evenly. So go ahead and just give us a soft smile, first without teeth, and then more teeth, and lift your chin up a little bit. Oh, look at that. Look at the smoothness. That's pretty cool, actually. I didn't expect it to be so working so well. Let's try the turtle. So let's bring our chin forward a little bit. I mean, the whole face forward and drop it a little bit. Yeah, and then another smile. Yeah, good. Turn that way. Turn away from me. Get more. Really turn far. Yeah, look at that. Look how smooth that area looks. That looks really good. Other things you can do to really sort of frame your features better. Real simple. One is, of course, contouring. And I like to use translucent powder when I contour as opposed to like bronzing powder or some kind of contour. So right here, the cheekbone, this is the shelf where we put the pink, then it peaks on the crown, so light is bouncing off from here to here, and then it falls under. So you just want to create just the tiniest amount of shadow just on the underside of the bone, not in the hollow. You want this to stop before it gets in the hollow. What I mean by the hollow, right here is where our upper and lower teeth meet, okay? If you go in here, it looks more like a skeleton. When you go on the underside of the bone, it lifts it up. So if you're doing Day of the Dead makeup, that's exactly where you want to go. Turn towards me, please. And the same thing on the other side. So you see I take my brush and I push up and there's a little blade of our cheekbone right there. You want to feel that with your thumb so you can feel that blade? Yeah. So you just push the brush right there, and I like to really press that sucker in and then give it a
straight towards the nose.
Right. Well, it feels like towards the nose, yes. But if I were to keep drawing, where I end up is right here at the corner of your mouth. All right? Because I'm here, and because it's a bit of an angle, I'm here, and I'm going like this. But don't let this come inside the heart line. The heart is off limits once you get the eyes and lips done. Oh, that looks really good. That contour reads really nice on you, and it's real subtle. Turn back the other way for me. I want to see how it looks on the other side if I got enough. Wow, the contour looks good on you. Okay, let me do a little bit more. I tell my clients, put a little bit too much on, because then you take your face powder and you sort of buff out the upper and lower edge. Come on back this way. You sort of buff out the upper and lower edge, and it's kind of like photoshopping the look. And so now you can see that the area under Lisa's eyes actually appears brighter because we have more contrast going on out here. Do you ever wear blush?
No.
No? Is there any particular reason why you don't?
I always think it looks phony.
Yeah. So real quick, we'll do one blush technique, and I agree with you. I feel the exact same way. So I created this technique called 3-2-1, and it's designed to actually simulate how the skin naturally flushes, as opposed to wearing color on your face. Okay? Right. So it's pretty simple. I'm going to pick just a kind of a fresh, sort of a corally shade that's happy. It's called Mango Glow. It's a happy color.
I think another reason is because my skin is kind of ready sometimes already, but if I'm doing a whole, the whole works, then I can see doing a little blush as well.
And what Lisa said is really true, because often I will work with people that have a lot of redness in their skin, and I ain't going to put any blush on them, because what I do is I neutralize the redness inside, and there's enough redness out here that they don't need blush. It's going to add to it. Yeah. So this is called 3-2-1. So the blush is back here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush. Here's my brush. And I'm just going to tap it, the tip of it, into the color I want to use. And then just outside, turn over that way, just right outside the heart line of Lisa, I'm going to put the color. I'm going to start here on the shelf of the cheekbone, right where that pink went. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, going to cough, excuse me. I'm fine. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. So by going 3, 2, 1, what's happening is instead of she having a bunch of color on her face, it's as if the color is surging onto her cheekbone like she's naturally flushing, but it magically stops just outside her eye, so it doesn't compete for attention. It actually supports her eye more with shape. But you have to keep this high. I will tell you, if you even go on the crown of the cheek here, the blush starts to mix in with the contour and it falls under here, and the skin starts to look muddy and heavy. And we don't want that. So here's the turn a little bit towards me. Here's the natural heart line right here. So you don't put it inside the heart line, but just outside the heart line, right on the shelf of the cheekbone. 1, 2, 3, right behind it. 1, 2, 1. When you do it at home, you think, I'm not doing anything. I don't see anything. But that's the point. Is that it slowly builds up. It's like adding seasoning to your food. A little bit, taste it. Oh my God, I put too much in. Then you're sunk. So if you are a little bit more careful, that won't happen. Then come back to center. Yeah, it's really good. Do you see any difference? I mean, I know it's on a crazy little camera, but do you see how the skin reflects light better?
Yeah.
Why don't you slide back just a little bit? So those are some real simple techniques, both anatomical and cosmetic, that on a daily basis make you photograph better. And my method of doing makeup, my face with a heart method of doing makeup, is really designed to do just that. It's designed to sort of put your best face forward, if you will, make people see you more clearly. And because we do have pictures taken of us all the time and videos taken all the time, it's nice to be prepared because, it's that one picture that people decide to post that you go, why did they choose that picture? And so the more you can control it, the better, I think. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So, wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
I learned a lot. So, just so you know, for everybody who's watching, I always offer a 20% cart discount. So you want to write this down. It's Mug Live 15. That stands for Season 1, Episode 5, but there's no point between the 1 and the 5. So Mug Live 15. You can go to my cart, if you want to get anything, and you get 20% off the entire cart. You don't get anything off my value bundles because they're already more than 20% off. Besides that, whatever you want, even my services. So if you want to do a makeup lesson, right, or have your makeup done, buy it at 20% off before midnight because it goes away at midnight, and we don't want that. The other thing I just want to remind you is that the reason we're doing this topic today is because Lisa got a hold of me and said, hey, I want to be on your show and let's talk about this. So if you have any concerns, anything that you want to know more about, we look forward to hearing from you, and so that we can share really your concerns, because I have plenty to talk about when it's about makeup. But I'm not always sure, if that's what you want to hear about. So anyway, any concerns, you let me know. Now, if you do want to be on Makeup Gourmet Live, you of course have to be in San Francisco to do it because that's where our studio is. But you are more than welcome. My email, info@makeupgourmet.com, info@makeupgourmet.com. Just give me a holler and we can chat. And if it seems like a good fit, well, heck, why don't you come on the show? All the tips that I've been sharing with you today, they're all available on my Amazon #1 bestseller, Face with a Heart. What's really cool is when you buy this on Amazon, you do get, if you're into ebook, you get a free ebook as well, which is kind of nice because then you have it with you no matter where you go when you're doing your makeup. Let's say you're in Arizona, you don't have your book with you. Well, unless you live in Arizona. But I mean, if you're traveling, that's what I meant. If you're traveling, it's always with you. So check it out. And then just to let you, and so to close, I want to say, hey, thanks for tuning in. I love doing this. I love sharing what I know, and I'm always excited to hear about what you want to hear about. So next week is going to be pretty cool. I'm calling it the sound of airbrush. So really what I'm going to be talking about is airbrush makeup. The airbrush tool itself, how it works. And the reason isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
And it's also really good for photography, by the way. The reason I call it the sound of makeup sound of airbrush as opposed to, the art of airbrush is that airbrush is such a fine mist that when you put it on, you don't see it. You can't see it. It's too fine. It slowly layers, but you can hear it. You hear how much is coming out of the airbrush. And so my makeup mentor, Rocky Cosetti, he told me, put it on with your ears, not with your eyes. And I went, what? That's stupid. But then, and I totally got it. But I have so much to share with you about awesome airbrush technique, even if you want to do it on yourself, but also if you're going to a makeup artist and you want airbrush, I'm going to show you what to look for, because if you're a makeup artist, and I'm not being sort of like, my way is better, but what I am saying is there is a better way to do airbrush. And if you see someone doing certain kinds of techniques, sure, it's going to look okay, but it's not going to look great. And so I would look further. So anyway, we'll talk about that on our next episode. Lisa, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome. It was fun.
How was she, everybody? Oh, isn't she great? I feel the exact same way. So until next time, thanks for tuning in, watching Makeup Gourmet Live, and we'll see you next week. Take care.